As you're looking, you got the processes, you get the data, but once you go through that, is there a particular area, whether is it marketing or is it strategy? Where do you see most people being able to play and saying, hey, I can get a great return on my investment there?
Spectacular question. The easiest approach point, and the one that I see most often, is with marketing, because people want to generate and write copy. But that's not the thing that's going to move the needle for most organizations. What is the easiest pickable? Yeah, that's a word. Most pickable, low-hanging fruit is actually going to be in file transformation and duplicate data entry. So here's an example. I've got a Microsoft form. Let's say I'm in HR and I'm surveying people, and I get my data in an Excel format. Let's say 50 people fill out my Microsoft form on company culture. Then I've got to take that data and I've got to do something with it. Well, in many instances, that involves transforming that data from an Excel or a CSV file into a written narrative, right? Maybe I've got to generate a report or distill some learnings. And it's very difficult, quite frankly, to transfer information from one file format to another. So a real easy, quick win for many folks is to use the inherent conversion features in a tool like ChatGPT to pull that information out of the Excel or the CSV file, turn it into a Word document, right? I do that all the time with different types of file formats, and most people don't understand that you can make that magic happen very quickly with almost no training at all. So doing things like that. The new multimodal capabilities in ChatGPT 5 are also extremely beneficial. It's always, for the last always for the last 3 years, it's always been possible to take a picture of, say, a whiteboard and get some stuff transcribed. But the new GPT-5 does it very, very well. I've got horrible penmanship, which the personal computer has been a wonderful boon to me. I think I probably would have starved in another era because nobody could read my writing. But be that as it may, I had a whiteboard that I did some work with a client on the other week, and I took a picture of it with the new ChatGPT-5 tool. And within 15 seconds, it had a complete agenda. It knew the context. It understood what we were doing, and it transcribed it and dumped it all into a Word document, just like that. Saved me, probably 25 to 30 minutes of typing and manual entry. Then I just had to do some editing and a massage. So things like that are really easy, low-hanging fruit that companies can pick, because we spend a lot of time in meetings and doing whiteboarding sessions and strategizing. We spend a lot of time doing duplicate data entry in organizations and transferring information from one system to another. These are tools that can absolutely help. Absolutely.
That's great. I tell most of my people, like, if you're going through your organization, one of the ways that I try to find places where AI can help, if you say, there's got to be an easier way. If you're working in something, say, this seems stupid. Why would you? That's like a first place to start. And it might not be the place that you want to actually start, but that's a great way to discover where there is opportunities. Then generally go through a framework of utilizing a theory of constraints and understanding where the bottleneck actually is. I think we talked a little bit about that to understand, like, well, there's no reason to work on making an operation that's not, I wouldn't say not critical. It can be critical, but it's not a bottleneck operation. Shouldn't really work on those, because you should need to, if you really want to increase throughput and really want to see, work on bottleneck operations, whether that as a CEO, if you're the bottleneck, then, things like you're talking about are an incredible boon to increase the productivity of not just you, but of the entire organization.
Absolutely. And as you're doing that, one of the mindset shifts that I find is very difficult for folks, and the programmers and the coders are going to be the first that have to really grapple with this. They're grappling with it now, is this shift of becoming kind of a hybrid creator-editor. And it's that editor role that a lot of folks really struggle with, because they're used to being subject matter experts, or they're used to being this, that, or the other thing. Well, the cost of a lot of this expertise, not all of it, but an awful lot of it, is dropping to darn near zero very, very fast. And so your role is no longer to know a bunch of stuff. Your role is going to involve being more of an editor and analyzing and discerning what's real, what's not real, just like you would if you were supervising, say, at a law firm, you had, I don't know, a group of second-year interns, right? Some of them are going to produce very good stuff. Some are going to produce mediocre. Some of it's going to be garbage. Your role is to determine what is good, what is not good, and to shape that as opposed to creating it all from whole cloth. And that's an area where I think a lot of people are going to struggle to make that transition, because most people that aren't engaged in either coding from an architecture standpoint or in content creation with words from an editor standpoint, they just don't have that skill set. So that's going to be something that I think is really important for people to begin developing.
Yeah, I don't think people, like you said, they sometimes feel like, oh, I have to, for it to be my work, I have to create it. And, and that one, we wouldn't think about that in any other way. If you were a mechanic, you wouldn't say, well, I'm not going to use this tool, right? And it's kind of crazy, but sometimes we feel, oh, it's got to be, people talk about, oh, I don't want to see AI content. I'm like, well, people don't want to read my writing either. Trust me, because now it doesn't mean that I just let it do it all itself, meaning that I don't have any input into that either. I think people kind of, just because AI writes it for me doesn't mean that they're not my thoughts, because I'm giving it to, I'm at least the way that I work with it. I'm talking with it all the time. I basically say, this is what I want to get across. This is how I want to get it across. Now, can you do that for me? And, most people, they just kind of, one shot prompt it and say, hey, make me a response to this, rather than really having it about their voice and really taking the amount of time that it takes to train it to make sure that it is getting your voice out there. What are the other areas that you're seeing besides that, just in data transformation, basically from one type of file to another? Is there any other areas that you're, maybe even if not right now, that you're looking for, going into the future here in the next 6 to 12 months?
Before we leave that topic too of you need to be the author versus being the editor, there was a great paper that just came out. Ethan Mollick called it out on LinkedIn, and it had turned out in one of our searches as well. We did some analysis of it just last Friday. All it takes is as little as 2 or 3 or 4 sentences to get one of these tools going in terms of content creation, and you're going to get better results. So if you can write even the first 2 or 3 or 4 sentences of an introduction and then give it kind of an idea in another couple sentences about where you want it to go, you're going to get a much more uniquely tailored output than you would with even a zero-shot prompt or just letting it do its own thing. So I think the barrier to producing bespoke content that is more unique and specific to your voice is a lot lower than most people think. So I wanted to make that point, because that's something that trips a lot of people up.